Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber Season Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Understanding how to conduct vulnerability and control deficiency analysis is essential for managing organizational risk. These assessments help identify weaknesses in systems, processes, and controls that could be exploited by threat actors. They offer insights into where existing security measures fall short and reveal gaps that need remediation. Without this type of analysis, organizations may maintain a false sense of security, unaware of exposure points that adversaries can find and exploit. For security leaders, this analysis not only improves protection, it also informs prioritization, planning, and communication. Vulnerability and control assessments serve multiple purposes. They help align security investments with actual risk. By identifying where weaknesses exist, security teams can allocate time and budget to the areas that matter most. This analysis also supports broader risk treatment strategies, tying tactical issues to strategic goals. Importantly, it creates a baseline for continuous improvement. Periodic reassessments enable tracking of progress and refinement of security architecture over time. To start, it's important to distinguish between vulnerabilities and control deficiencies. Vulnerabilities are technical or process-based weaknesses. They might be found in software, network configurations, or workflows. Examples include outdated patches, weak passwords, or unprotected APIs. Control deficiencies, by contrast, are gaps in how security measures are designed, implemented, or operated. A vulnerability may exist even when a control is present, if that control is misconfigured, outdated, or inconsistently applied. Not all vulnerabilities are caused by control failures. Some may emerge from new technologies, legacy system constraints, or unforeseen business requirements. Conversely, control deficiencies may exist even in the absence of known vulnerabilities. For example, a security policy might be outdated, or access logs may not be retained properly. Both vulnerabilities and control deficiencies contribute to the organization's overall risk profile and must be addressed through structured analysis. Identifying vulnerabilities begins with tools and techniques. Automated scanning is often the first step. These tools evaluate networks, systems, applications, and endpoints for known weaknesses. They compare configurations to vulnerability databases like the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures List, or CVE. These scans may reveal unpatched software, exposed ports, or configuration issues. However, automation has limits. Manual testing techniques, such as penetration testing and red teaming, add depth. These methods simulate attacker behavior and explore whether weaknesses can be exploited in real-world conditions. Secure code reviews and configuration audits also uncover hidden issues. Developers or security engineers may detect logic flaws, misconfigurations, or deprecated libraries. Threat intelligence feeds help identify newly discovered exploits and link them to assets in your environment. Finally, inventory correlation connects known vulnerabilities to what the organization actually owns, providing targeted analysis. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. To assess control effectiveness, different methods are required. Reviewing the implementation status of policies and procedures offers one layer of visibility. Are documented controls actually in use? Do teams follow the prescribed steps? Evaluating control design against frameworks like ISO or NIST helps determine whether the control meets industry standards. Walkthroughs and interviews allow security teams to assess whether processes are being executed consistently. Testing technical controls validates whether systems like firewalls, endpoint detection, or data loss prevention tools are configured properly and functioning as intended. For example, alerts might be generated but not reviewed. Finally, analysis of incident data offers powerful insight. If similar events recur, it may indicate that controls are being bypassed or that design assumptions are flawed. Control assessments must balance design, execution, and performance to be complete. Once weaknesses are identified, prioritization becomes critical. Not every issue requires immediate remediation. Risk-based prioritization uses factors such as likelihood of exploitation and potential impact to the organization. Systems that store sensitive data or support critical services should be addressed first. compliance scope, and asset sensitivity also influence prioritization. An issue on a system subject to regulatory oversight may carry more urgency than one on a development server. Scoring systems like the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, or CVSS, help standardize assessment and comparison. These scores account for exploit complexity, scope, and impact. However, scores must be interpreted in context. Business risk often depends on how an asset is used and how it connects to other systems. Threat scenarios from the organization's risk register can be used to correlate vulnerabilities with known threats. Filtering results by impact and feasibility allows leaders to focus efforts efficiently and effectively. Documenting findings is the next step. Each issue should be described in detail, including which systems or assets are affected. The documentation should indicate whether the issue stems from absence of control, misconfiguration, or operational failure. It is also important to record how the issue was discovered, whether through scanning, testing, or internal reporting. Timestamps, log excerpts, or screenshots should be included as evidence to support the finding. Documentation should also trace the issue back to related processes, policies, or responsibilities. This supports accountability and helps connect weaknesses to the broader governance model. When possible, findings should be categorized to support later analysis. For example, grouping by business unit, control domain, or compliance framework helps reveal systemic trends and inform program-level adjustments. Findings must be shared with internal teams for validation and remediation. Assigning ownership is key. Each issue should be linked to a responsible team or asset owner. These stakeholders should review the issue, confirm its accuracy, and help assess its business impact. Timelines for resolution should be aligned with operational availability, compliance deadlines, and risk levels. Communication is essential during this phase. Security teams must present findings in clear, actionable terms, avoiding alarmism but emphasizing consequences. Context matters. An issue that seems minor to IT may carry regulatory consequences, while an issue that alarms users may have limited risk. Accountability mechanisms must be in place. If resolution is delayed or rejected, there must be escalation paths to ensure that critical risks do not remain unaddressed. Once ownership is established, remediation planning begins. Each plan should clearly describe what actions are needed to address the issue. This might involve patching, reconfiguring controls, rewriting procedures, or procuring new tools. Required resources, such as personnel, training, or software, should be identified and allocated. Deadlines must be realistic but firm, and intermediate milestones should be defined for large or complex remediations. Where possible, remediation should be linked to existing risk treatment plans. This ensures consistency and supports holistic governance. Tracking should be centralized. Governance, risk, and compliance platforms, commonly referred to as GRC systems, can support status updates, evidence collection, and audit logging. Without centralized tracking, issues can be lost, miscommunicated, or delayed. Reporting is a critical part of governance integration. Security teams should summarize findings in formats that support executive reporting and compliance reviews. Trends, such as recurring control failures or vulnerability types, should be highlighted. These patterns often indicate systemic weaknesses that require process changes. Risk ratings, based on severity, likelihood, and business impact, must be provided. Stakeholders need clear status updates and assurance that issues are being addressed. Reports should be aligned with audit and regulatory requirements. Documentation must be retained and accessible for inspection. Findings must also be reflected in broader risk monitoring. Vulnerability and deficiency analysis is not a standalone activity. It feeds into the security program's health metrics, strategic planning, and improvement initiatives. Integration ensures that the organization learns from its weaknesses rather than repeating them. Continuous improvement depends on reassessment. Once issues are resolved, reassessments should be scheduled to validate that controls now function correctly. Risk assessments must be updated to reflect any changes in posture. Controls that are consistently effective may become best practices. Controls that fail should be reevaluated or replaced. Lessons learned should be collected and shared across teams. Detection and testing methods must evolve. New attack methods require new scanning techniques, detection algorithms, and response procedures. Security programs that treat vulnerability and deficiency analysis as a one-time exercise are unlikely to remain secure. A lifecycle approach is required. Identify, assess, remediate, verify, and improve again and again. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersysm Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.